Ladies and gentlemen, this is the state of the scene.
Yo, what the fuck is up, Warp Tour? The state of the scene at SOTS Podcast on all social media. Sam here with Marcos.
I feel you in these walls, Sam.
Yeah?
You're a cold air creeping in.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Yeah.
Chill me to my bones and skin.
Paris used to be such a spooky band. They're so, like, low-key now.
They did used to be like a low-key little Hot Topic-y band.
Yeah, they were very spooky. Now they're not spooky at all. They went from the Hot Topic to the Club. Like, completely different, like, personality change for that entire band. Do we apologize for being gone for 2 weeks?
What would that look like?
I actually wrote something, as a matter of fact. I wrote, Dear listener, we fucked up.
If this is a YouTube apology, you have to let out the sigh first. Big sigh.
Where's my ukulele? Kidding. Well, not kidding about being sorry. Kidding that we were gone for 2 weeks. But as you can see, if you're watching the full podcast over at SOTS Podcast YT on YouTube, that we've completely changed the visuals for the show so that they look a little less or like significantly less shitty. So we hope you're enjoying that and you'll forgive us.
At least we think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in our eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm feeling really great about this background, Sam. Like, what for our audio listeners?
Yeah, for the audio listeners, describe the background. What do we got going on in the background? Let me take a look. We've got old issues of Alt Press.
Yes.
We've got classic issues of Alt Press, like
Classic.
Escape the Fate playing poker, or Ollie Sykes dressed as a spaceman, or Blink 182 looking depressed.
Isn't there a third?
There's a third one. Take Back Sundays back there. They also look depressed too. I got some Ice 9 Kills merch back there, some vinyl, some 7-inch. There's a lot of fun stuff. Dig in visually if you're watching.
Cassette tapes, and most importantly, the YouTube. Like, this is the official thing that like actually makes us YouTube certified.
Which is what exactly?
We have some gradient lighting happening in the background, some mood lighting.
It's the first time for us. It's big. We're feeling really good about it. I'm going to be honest with you. I figured we'd spend this intro doing about 25 minutes on our background, and then we'd move on to the fucking show. I went to Seattle, which is like the farthest across America I've ever traveled.
Went to Seattle, bro.
Yeah.
What's in Seattle?
God, what's in Seattle, bro? What's in Seattle?
Genuine
saw
question.
Nirvana. What?
Yeah. Well, like a wax museum
in a dream. No, actually, I didn't go. They do have like a grunge museum where it's like, hey, do you like pictures of Pearl Jam for $75? You can come look at it. And I'm like, nah, I'm all set, actually.
Look at 10 of them.
Yeah, I'm actually, frankly, I'm all set. I'm going to go to I went to the first Starbucks ever. That was cool.
Was it like run down, beaten up?
Yeah, they were actually running out of back of some guy's van. That was the first Starbucks. It's crazy. No, it was
like
fancy.
They haven't renovated it.
No, they renovated the fuck out of it. I also went to, it's called Starbucks Federal Reserve, and like you walk in there and they got like coffee making like factory machines and like a brick oven to make pizza. Shit was insane.
Starbucks doesn't do pizza.
No, they do there. There's five of these. There's 5 of these in the whole fucking country. One of them's in Seattle, no surprise. And I went there and took a picture of myself.
The rest have to be like West
fucking
Coast.
$40 for a coffee. It was insane. No, one's in Hawaii. I'm gonna take a guess that one's also in New York because that feels pretty safe. And then the other 2 are I think Ohio and Idaho, just scattered right there in the middle of the country.
California, no.
Just like fucking tossed out in the middle of nowhere. I went to some cool record stores. I bought that. So again, visual watchers, listeners, there's a techno vinyl back there, which I found in a vinyl store, which I was pretty thrilled about. Because I feel like oftentimes I go to vinyl stores and it's like, oh, you're looking for rock and metal? Well, let me show you 47 Metallica albums.
Could I interest you in one of 45 of these Taylor Swift vinyls?
This is Stranger Things Season 4 vinyl soundtrack.
the movie soundtrack.
Yeah,
really?
which has just a collection of rock and metal artists.
I'm big into movies.
Sure.
Seeing as how you have that soundtrack, do you have all 3 of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies on vinyl.
Funny, as a matter of fact, we also have them on cassette.
Lit.
Lucky for you. Yeah, no shit. Seattle was neat. What about you? Did you do anything while you were on fucking podcast vacation?
I bought a new Switch.
Okay, what happened to the old Switch?
I cracked it.
I think we talked about it on the show, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we
I was
did.
trying to remember.
I cracked it, and I finally retired it.
This was an old plot line.
And I got a new OLED model.
The gang buys a Switch.
And now, like, I checked what was on sale, bro.
What was on sale?
And I just started buying games.
Wait, like physically or like on
Digital.
like
So-
the
so-
eShop?
Fucking,
We'll talk about music in a bit, guys. Hang in there.
you're talking Seattle. You're talking Starbies.
Yeah.
You know who that actually means you're talking about?
Did you buy a game about making coffee?
You're talking about Mr. Amazon, okay?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Talking
Oh
about
my
Mr.
God, I
Amazon.
saw the.
You saw
the,
Bezos?
No, not Bezos. I saw the building where all the Amazon people work, and these like stupid fucking spheres they have outside of it, like they're massive, like octagon ass bullshit things. But continue.
So on Prime Day,
Yeah.
I bought myself one of those little micro SD cards.
Sure.
1 terabyte, Sam. You know how much that is? Is a lot.
Can I guess what games you
Apparently.
bought? How many did you buy?
Yeah. It's like 3.
3. You bought 3. You can say 3.
3, and then I wish listed like 15 of them, but they had a bunch on sale.
Okay. All right. So you bought 3 games that were on sale. So nothing above, we'll say $30.
Yeah. All on sale.
All right. I want one clue.
All games I've played.
Were any? Wait, you've played all of them?
Yeah.
What do you mean you've played all of them? You bought a bunch of games you've already played? What fucking
2
sense
of
does
them I
that
played.
make?
2 of them I played.
What fucking sense does that even make? Okay, so you obviously you bought like a fucking Pokemon game or some shit.
Nah.
Did you buy like a Mario game?
About the BioShock collection.
Fuck off, bro.
And I was like, no way is this good on the Switch, but I'm a fucking die trying. I'm a see. I'm gonna find out for myself.
bought games you played some Zelda shit?
No. Bro, all on sale. I bought Rayman Legends.
I'm so tired of guessing. Thank you. This is literally impossible.
Maybe I did just buy 2. But I was ready.
So you
I
ran
told
out there, you bought
I
a brand
wish listed
new
the fuck out of
$300
shit.
Switch, and you ran
Oh,
home
no,
and
I
you
didn't.
bought
No, I-
BioShock Legends, the worst version
And
of
I
that game
bought-
imaginable.
Because it was on sale for like $5.99 on Prime Day. I bought the physical edition of the new Mario and Rabbids.
My
Let's
God.
go.
Let's go. Let's go. Anyway, this has been a fun catch up. As always, every link you need is in the description of this episode, including our socials, playlist, merch, and Discord. Subscribe to us on YouTube at SOTS Podcast YT and leave a thumbs up if you enjoy what you see. Full video version of the podcast is over there. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leave 5 stars. That's always kind. And if you want to support the show, consider becoming a patron for early access to stickers, Discord benefits, producer credits in our video content, and the ability to ask questions on the weekly show, like Caillou, who wanted to know, are y'all just as awkward as I think I am when I try to talk to band members? I don't talk to band members. That's actually a rule for me. Like, I just don't want to, like...
This is fact.
Okay, all right, so here's how it works. I will not talk to a band member unless they speak to me first. That's the rule. I will
very
never fucking
respectful
bother. Yeah,
relationship,
never.
yeah.
I never play for. I never do VIP. So it's not like I'm sitting there in a little like. I never do like the tea time with the band where you get to like ask them like, what's on the set tonight? You know, that kind of stuff. I never do that. So like, I'm never in a position where I have to talk to them.
We do hang out with bands occasionally though, and I'll tell you what's not awkward is talking with them. What is awkward is anytime they introduce you to someone else like in the room.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
say
well
you're
that's
on the
just
bus.
that's unfortunate for us. Like,
Yeah.
because we have to be introduced in the worst way imaginable every time.
It's like, oh, you guys are State of the Sea. Yeah.
You've heard of podcasts?
State of the Sea.
You're never going to believe who's here tonight. Prepare to be the most disappointed you've been in your whole life. Rogan? Nope.
Yeah, and then they'll be like,
it's a
yeah,
good guess, though.
It's our touring photographer. They're awesome. They're great. They just got here tonight. And you're like, what do you do for? Oh, you're a photographer. That's right.
It's like somebody from like every time we go to a show and we're like in the green room, somebody from like a band like in our area will show up. It'll be like They'll be like, one time, like the vocalist for Currents just showed up, and everybody was like, "Ah, fucking!"
And they start dapping up everyone in the room, and then we're sitting there like, good paint job.
It's like, alternatively, we walk in, and it's like, "Are you guys lost?" And it's like somebody has to like explain, like profusely apologize for us like being there. So, anyways, yeah, it's not awkward to talk to band members. I just try not to do it. Unless also I'm interviewing them. Completely different scenario. But also not that. Band members are just people, bro. Most of them are fucking losers, honestly. I'm cooler than 90% of band people I've ever met. Like, dorkiest motherfuckers you ever meet in your life. Nick asked, just learned about Pool Kid's hardcore alt alias Pool today and love the concept of a band just doing a complete 180 for fun. Are there any bands you guys would love to see try something like this? What do you think their alt alias name would be? So let's take a band that has multiple words in their name and come up with their hardcore band like name, right? All right, you got anything?
Sleep Token.
Yeah.
Sleep.
Okay. Boston Manor's hardcore band name is Boston. Yeah. Which I think is actually is that actually a band that exists? I feel like Boston is actually a band that exists.
Yes.
All right, what else you got? Bad Omens are just called Bad.
How about there's definitely like a virtue where it's just of.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel you there. What do you do with like My Chemical Romance? Do you like a hardcore band called Romance? Does that not work? Chemical? That doesn't feel like it works either.
Chemical works better. Romance has a nice like ring. I don't know. Does it always have to be hardcore though, or is it like
Paris is just the V from their name is their hardcore band name?
I was thinking France, but with the V.
Sure. That's like a completely different change up.
Yeah,
but I'm here
for
for
like
it.
They would be like more of like a jazzier type thing.
Is there any band you listen to that you feel like would make a decent hardcore band? Knock Loose feels like they could pull it off.
Not off the top of my head.
Because hardcore is very difficult to do, so you don't like feel confident that any band could.
No, it's like, why waste your time, bro?
Sure, fun,
boring ass genre.
That was Marcos, just in case anybody wants to fucking write an angry review. Eric asked, was there a specific band that got you into scene music?
Ooh. Answer.
Oh, for me, it's easy. Like, I started at the beginning. Like, it was like My Chemical Romance, and then from there, The Used, and then Taking Back Sunday, like Census Fail, like every adjacent band, like, it was just like the four fans of these bands, and I just fucking like fell down that rabbit hole. But like, I started like in the beginning, you know? What's a fun answer, though? If I was just like, Blood on the Dance Floor was probably my entry into the scene, you know?
Eat Me While I'm Hot.
Yeah.
So you're thinking like My Chem. I'm thinking for me, it was probably Fall Out Boy.
That checks out. Bro, we were really from different sides of the track, weren't we?
I guess. Maybe for me, it was Panic.
R.I.P.
I'm trying to... No, because I would have discovered Fall Out Boy first.
I feel like a lot of people either don't care or forget that Panic at the Disco broke up this year for good.
Was that this year?
That was this year.
That was
this year. I know, that's what I'm saying. Ooh. Like, it's crazy, right? Like, you totally forget.
How many years do you think it will take for people to want that reunion?
Years. Absolute fucking
It'll take years to remove like the stains.
Funny enough,
my memory that the last record left.
3 years ago, High Hopes was the #1 song in the country. Fun fact.
And
3 years ago, #1 song in the
while.
country. Yeah.
Ugh.
And then just gone. Marcus, you want to talk about some albums?
Of course.
The Breakdown.
Starting with Evergreen by Paris. This is the New England artist's 4th studio album, released July 14th via Hopeless Records. Evergreen consists of 11 tracks, clocks in at around 33 minutes, and is the much anticipated follow-up to 2020's Use Me LP, which of all of the COVID era albums, that one honestly seems to be it doesn't feel like it's been 3 years since Use Me.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think part of the reason is that Pvris has been a very active project since the release of that. Like, we're talking remixes, we're talking singles.
Got the deluxe.
In general, like, I feel like them leaving a major label and then signing the Hopeless. I just feel like that band really hasn't fell out of like the popular conscience in a way that would like make us feel like they'd been gone. So it was almost like you blinked and now we have a new Pvris album.
And we've finally heard it.
Sounds a lot like the last Pvris album, to be honest with you. Like, if I'm being totally honest with you, this does not feel dramatically different than Use Me did. We did have some weird shit in between where I feel like we were trying more of like guitar heavy alt rock, but this is right back in that real beat heavy, like almost like we didn't miss a beat here. Like, this is Pvris exactly as they were on the last album. Like, this is Pvris now. Yeah. As best I can tell. For better or worse, this is what Pvris sounds like at this point.
Yeah, I think that this feels like a pretty organic continuation of a sound that we were establishing on that major label. We just carried it over to Hopeless.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, we're continuing to refine it, and that it sounds pretty great overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of things going for it, right? It's for most of the first half, or the entirety of the first half, it's very up tempo, right? Like, it's fun. It constantly, like, each song gets stuck in my head at different intervals. Like, it's a very enjoyable record, which is interesting because I feel like a little bit it contrasts what I thought was going to be the feeling of this record, because there was like a mission statement put out. Like, Pvris put out a mission statement. I was like, yo, listen, this album is about the changing world, having to fight those changes, like having to deal with like all of the heaviness that is laid upon our soul constantly in like the society that we're forced to engage with. Like real, like, it felt heavy. And then I go into this album and I don't get any of that. Like, I don't, like, I get it in some senses that I feel like we are tackling that subject matter, but I never really feel the gravity of it. Like, at the end of the day, they've done a very good job of like washing that tone with so much of this like upbeat, up-tempo, like kind of sing-along dance music that I feel like there's like a sort of a weird juxtaposition with the messaging of this record and like the record itself.
I don't disagree. I think that it's definitely an example of one of those albums where like the riffs are so distracting and like overall like the music just goes burr at times, right? Like Animal is a very, like you said, up-tempo song, just very in your face instrumentally, but like you put it on mute and you start reading the lyrics. Like, not that song maybe specifically, but obviously
Goddess feels like kind of a good example for something like that, which does feel like kind of like a Take Back the Power anthem type thing.
And the I don't want to do this shit anymore line or whatever.
But it does feel like you could very much listen to this record without any of the context of like
that. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And not truly pick up on what the gravity of the record that was imposed upon me in like the press release for it.
Yeah.
That being said, though, so I finished this record the first time and was kind of at odds with it. I was like, well, that was a good time, but I don't know if it like really sold me on what I thought it was going to be. So I went back to it and I kind of listened to it again and I kind of felt the same way. And then I went back and listened to it again. And like each time I listened to it, like over the course of the week, it kind of like grew on me a little bit more. So ultimately I kind of ended off with this record in a way that was like, my complaints felt like they felt like they were sort of like lost in the shadow of everything that I liked about this record in a way that ultimately, like when I think back on it, I really only think about the aspects that I enjoyed, and I don't get too lost in the things that didn't work for me.
Well, how so?
Whereas initially when I went into this record, my idea of what I thought it was going to be and what it actually was were very different, based on what I feel like was communicated to me, you know?
Okay.
That this record felt like on paper it was going to be a very powerful listening experience, and it ended up just kind of being a fun one for me. And
part of
ultimately
me is
now
like-
when I think back to it, I'm like, oh, well, how disappointed can I be in the record that I had fun with, even if it wasn't the one I thought it was going to be?
I remember that being similar to the experience with Use Me too, where it's like, at least going into it, you're like, I don't know, this seems like it's going to be like more of a vulnerable record or something, and then you finish listening to it and you're just like, hey, they kind of popped off, like that was really fun. And it's like, maybe there is like a tonal, I don't know, it's not an issue.
Me, I felt like I connected more with Use Me, but I feel like Evergreen is a little bit more cohesive. Like something about the overall sound, I feel like this record, it flows much better than Use Me did. Use Me felt like it was trying a lot of stuff, and Evergreen feels a little more like dialed in.
Evergreen feels like it knows what not to try this time around. Mm-hmm. Like Paris know what not to try.
That being said, Use Me was like a top 5 record for me the year it came out. I don't know if I quite feel the same way about Evergreen. Maybe I need a little bit more time with it, but Use Me wowed me the very first time I listened to it. Evergreen, I feel like I had a little bit of growing pains, and I don't know if I'm quite at like one of my favorites for the year yet. I don't think I'm there.
Do you think it'll get there?
I don't know, honestly. I feel like I've had,
and the reason I ask is
I feel like I've had few albums this year, and it's kind of making me start to worry. And I don't know if it's like a me thing or
I don't know. I think I'm in a similar boat as far as like, definitely didn't click with me personally as much as Use Me did on like just from the get-go.
Glad we align there.
But I do think that like overall it's got some of Paris's like, I don't know about best songs, and I think maybe that's where I'm sort of at. It's like I don't know if the Paris song exists on this record.
Yeah.
Like Use Me, I felt like had one or two.
What do you think comes closest? If you were, I think Anywhere But Here for me really pops, and Goddess really pops.
Yeah.
But you're right. Do I feel like I hear a Paris song that like I can't live without on this record? I don't know that I do. It's like as a whole, I think it's
you hit the nail on
enjoyable. But like if you start to pick at it individually, maybe it does show a little bit of like.
Well, what I'm saying is I do think you hit the nail on the head in calling it probably, at least compared to their latest record and Use Me, more cohesive all around. Like, I think that, like, this is a great album. Like, just from beginning to end, I love the listening experience. I have a good time with it. I sit here and I'm still a Paris fan. I'm happy with this one overall. But I also don't look at this and be like, well, the standout, of course, is this track.
You know what's funny is that in that sense, I feel like it almost mirrors, and forgive me if I butcher the name of it, but their second album, All We Know of Heaven.
All We Need of Hell.
Where I kind of felt similarly about that, where I really liked it as like a complete piece of work. But when I try to think of like individually the songs that stood out to me, that's where I start to get a little lost. You know what I mean?
No, I think you're right. Even sitting here trying to think of what that song is myself, I can't. Like
Right? Like
Yeah.
what was the song on that album? Like I struggle.
And obviously, like, Debut's a different story because
Debut was nothing but like
That's
the
crazy.
fucking most amazing
Right.
singles that band has ever written.
and Use Me was like, I mean, it felt like kind of a revival after that second album for this band.
And I think Use Me was also really fun because it was Paris doing stuff that we hadn't really heard from them before. You know what
Sure.
I mean? And I think there was something about that that's exciting. You lose a little bit of that with Evergreen as well, right? I will say, so things that like undeniably work. Lynn sounds amazing because Lynn always sounds amazing. Like it's not even up for debate. Like Lynn's vocals always perfect. I think the production is fucking immaculate, which is also kind of expected. I think they do a really good job of like layering the different sounds in their song in a way that your focus can gravitate from like one aspect. Like there's songs have this like really interesting depth to them. I feel like where like I will listen to a song once and latch on to like things at the surface level and then go back and listen to it again and find something that sort of quietly exists in the background that really like grabs me. Beautiful production, beautiful vocals. I kind of like the way it's paced where like it comes out of the gate real hot and heavy and then it kind of tapers off in the back end and like
Gradually.
we quietly go out. Yeah. So in that sense, I do like how this record flows.
Lyrically, I think it's as strong as Paris has ever been.
Lyrically, I think it's... Lyrically, I'm a little torn because I don't think it's poor, but this is probably an aspect where I would go back and say, I don't know that, like lyrically is maybe where I should have been able to really latch onto the messaging of this record. And while I think it's there, I just don't think it's as, I don't know, maybe detailed as I hoped it would be.
Maybe it's the combination of just like the delivery or something. Like I do like, I don't know, I really like the full picture of this record, but you're right. Maybe when you start breaking things down on a more individual level, there are more cracks in the armor. Maybe. But like there are plenty of standout lines on here. Like the I'm a motherfucking brand line is really solid.
I think delivery goes a long way for selling it, and like Lynn's got some swagger on this record, and I think that carries a lot of it as well.
But even when we're doing like a more vulnerable delivery, like that line where it's losing a lover, your mother, your brother, or something like that, like we really sell just because of like the softness in which we deliver those vocals. But yeah, maybe that is overall like one of the hurdles as far as where we will ultimately land on this album at the end of the year. I do think it's in contention for something.
I don't know. It's weird because I feel like the
line.
more we talk about it, the shakier I get on my overall feeling for it. So like I feel like I came into this review thinking I'm probably going to give it like a clean 4. And now I feel like I'm scaling it back a little bit and I'm landing somewhere at like a 3.5 where it's like, I really enjoy this record, but I don't know that like I personally connected with it in the way that I hoped I would have.
Just looking over this track listing, I feel good about giving it a 4.
Okay.
I might reel that back someday, but I don't know. I also don't want to get caught up in the conversation of sitting here reviewing it and then feeling shakier on it. Like I think I came in thinking I had a pretty great time with another Paris record. I think that Paris sound phenomenal in general. I like the swagger. I like the confidence, all that. I feel good about a 4.
I think seeing Paris live would maybe potentially help me gain an even bigger appreciation for these songs. I think there is an energy here that I think would very obviously translate well live.
Yeah.
So suddenly that Poppy co-headliner is looking very good later this fall.
Yes.
All right, what else are we listening to this week?
Your Light Fades Away by Moodring. This is the Florida Outfit's newest offering, an EP released July 14th via UNFD Records. Your Light Fades Away consists of 3 tracks, clocks in at around 11 minutes, and is the follow-up to last year's outstanding debut LP, Stargazer. So we're back. 3 new tracks. Shy equals death or shit death. I'm having trouble reading this one.
Yeah, I'm not positive what we're going for there either.
We also have Black Wave, which was I think the first single for this project.
Part of me was listening to this album wondering to myself when I album EP When I opened it up and I saw the track listing, I was like, have I heard all 3 of these songs already? I was like, this track listing is so small. I was like...
Second single, Would You Wait For Me? So I do think we did hear 2 of these songs, you know, fucking 8 minutes of this EP.
I'm going to be blunt with you. I'm going to be absolutely blunt with you. I feel like my memory of these singles is almost like completely gone. I felt almost fresh listening to this EP. I was like,
oh, yeah.
It was like, it weirdly felt like hearing these songs for the first time in a strange way. And,
you know, I'm going to stop you there. I think the way that we consume music.
Sure. No, this is a me thing. I understand that. This is a me thing.
Because I think, honestly, I'd probably heard Black Wave and Would You Wait For Me a total of twice, once between the 2 of them, heading into this review, or heading into finally hearing the full EP and getting, you know, gearing up for the review.
I say this because it's an interesting experience to not really feel as if I had a memory for hearing these singles and then hearing this EP and being like, how the fuck is nobody talking about this? This is one of the best things I've ever heard in my fucking life. It's absolutely fucking flawless. It's amazing.
Man, especially Black Wave. Like, I liked that song when it came out, but man, does it click for you in the middle of this track listing.
Black Wave felt the most on this EP like the Moodring we'd left off with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Except maybe like a little more disgusting. There's like a queasy vocal delivery that like is absolutely nailed in this song in particular. And it contrasts really well against like some of the sweeter moments on that same song. Like, what's really incredible, I think, about this overall EP is how visionary Moodring continues to feel, where it feels like Moodring is doing all of the things that other bands are doing, but so many stages ahead of them.
It feels like it comes so naturally to them.
Yeah, like it's a little bit of that, and maybe it's a lot of bit of that, right? And I feel like I saw a tweet from somebody praising this record that said something along the lines of like, well, what do you expect when you have like all of the best musicians like in this band? And I was like, are they right? Like, are they like legitimately, like, these might be some of the best musicians in the scene, period. Like, if this is their output, it's hard to argue that this EP isn't one of the absolute like cleanest things I've heard all year.
I don't know if this is taking it up one level from there, but like I'll raise you that I think that this is...
All right, so I've said it's one of the best things all year.
I'll say it's the best of their discography.
I think that's easy as well. I think I agree with you.
I think just the short length of it really cements it as that, because it's like it's 11 lean minutes of some of the best music you've heard this year, certainly. But like, you know, Stargazer definitely had some moments where I didn't clock out, but like I just sort of like...
Stargazer wasn't perfect, where this is perfect.
It
Now,
loses
granted,
you a
one is a
little
full
bit.
length and the other is an EP. But
Well, that's what I mean. Like, as far as like strength wise though goes, like I think that there is zero cracks in this armor.
there is no. You're not going to hear a better 3-song run. This in like it's perfect. This is flawless.
Yeah.
Like right at the jump. Like Shideth. We're gonna call it Shideth. Like showcases the band's mission statement with this EP in that they're like playing with the vocal delivery to give something like entirely different, which is something they like stated that they set out to do. And immediately Shideth became like my favorite Moodring song. And I love the vocal effects and then the way that creates something fresh while maintaining like this sort of familiar thing that I became comfortable with. And they successfully take a formula that works for them and they instantly make it better. So I feel like I'm going from something like Stargazer and I'm going to this and I'm like, this is already with the first song a better version of a good band. And then, like I said, Black Wave, a little bit more of the Moodring I remember, but nastier. And then Would You Wait For Me has got like this fucking amazing guitar work that just makes me feel like a badass when I'm listening to it. And there's like an overall darker tone that embodies Moodring's style and how well they use like different elements to craft like these really strong, fascinating contrasts, you know, similar to how they did in Black Wave with just like the vocal delivery. I think like the way the songs are built, they know always exactly when they need to pivot from like this sort of like bitter to a sweeter like feeling. And it's done in a way that like they do a very good job at always keeping me like fully engaged, which is interesting sort of after what you said about Stargazer, because I think you made a good point where I think there were moments of Stargazer where maybe I mentally dipped out of it a little bit, where this does not give me the opportunity to do that, and it's built in a way specifically so that it doesn't happen. I just feel like Moodring is sort of like they've attacked this at different levels and nailed every single one of them.
I think any opportunity that you have to slightly zone out, this band immediately pulls you back in the moment they even suspect that's gonna happen, right?
Right. It's like they're always moving, like they're always like fluctuating
like
from one like different style
you.
to another. So it's like you don't have a chance to get bored. Like there's just like it's not there. And you know, I'll say it's to its benefit that it's like a 3-song EP, but maybe it's also like, you know, to its credit that this band like put together this sort of like and said like this is enough, like this is like this 3-song EP is exactly what we're trying to do and exactly what we're trying to communicate, and we nailed it.
Here's 3 of our best songs, period.
This is 5. This was easy 5 stars for me. There's no aspect of this that I wasn't enamored with.
Yeah, I'll throw my hat in too, Sam. I think that's a 5. This is 5.
That's a clean SOTS classic.
Clean
I believe
SOTS
that's our first EP to
True.
ever be awarded that incredible
honor.
Yeah, precisely. All right, Marcus, let's keep it rolling.
A Gradual Decline in Morale by Kim Dracula.
Oh, you fucking drown! You fucking drown! Baby, we've been helpless lately. I can't get rid of you now. I'm not fucking around.
This is the Aussie artist, Sam. The Tasmanian artists.
Sure.
Debut studio album released July 14th via Order of the Snake Music, which I think impressively actually means that this is a self-released effort. A Gradual Decline in Morale consists of 20 tracks, clocks in at around 49 minutes, and is the much anticipated follow-up to 2020's viral cover of Lady Gaga's Paparazzi.
That was viral?
I'd say so.
That had traction?
Yeah, it had some traction, yeah.
Very curious what you said about this potentially being a self-release, because this band has, I feel like, or artist has accomplished quite a bit, if that's the case, not having label backing.
Yes.
Considering they've already been slotted to open for Avenged Sevenfold later this year.
Even more impressively, right? And then that's, for them, that's halfway across the fucking world.
Halfway across the fucking world. Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
First time we have reviewed a Tasmanian artist, I feel pretty confident.
Can't say for sure, but you're right.
Yeah.
Like chances are likely that that's the case.
Very low. We've done it before.
We're gonna find out half Parkway Drive is from Tasmania.
Bro, what are they putting over in the water in Tasmania is what I'm asking.
Same thing they put in the water in all of Australia. Sharks.
Sharks. And just fucking whatever makes those bones grow into those beautiful musical bones that all Australian bands apparently have.
That's right. Precisely correct.
I
All right. This album is an experience. Like I'm gonna get out ahead of it. I think this record's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah, this one will be divisive.
Yeah, intentionally so. I think so. And in a good way, I also think so. And then thirdly, I think it's very much a record for me because I am so into the swings that this record. I think what I really love about this record is that like it's willingness to exist outside of the bounds of what's considered cool. And I think it's within that general vicinity that the coolest things always happen.
Yes.
And I'm speaking about every artist, not just Kim Dracula. I think so many artists I listen to are so dialed in to not wanting to ever come off as cringe, and it's kind of diluted the experimentation that we get from a lot of the rock metal artists that we cover on here. And Kim Dracula steps in to do the polar opposite, and very much clearly influenced by artists that came on the scene 25 years ago, think Korn or Limp Bizkit, that had that same mentality.
I think on that topic, I think one of the cool things that really separates Kim Dracula from a lot of other artists is that
Their inability to go out in the sun during the daytime. Yes.
well, it doesn't feel like they're trying to emulate any of those older bands like Korn or System of a Down or whoever it is that they've got.
Okay.
latest
All
with.
right. I'm gonna let you go with it. I'm gonna let you go with it.
It feels like they're actively trying to outdo them, which is what makes this so much fun and feel like such an unknown quantity in a sense.
Right. Like Korn for the Zoomer era.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. It's just like we're not just trying to replicate Korn's sound. It's like, oh, I see what Korn did. I think I can do it better, and like really swinging for the fences.
A fun fact: Jonathan Davis is featured on this record.
Sure, yeah. On the track 70 Needles, I think it's a long 70 Thorns.
70 Thorns. Yeah. I was like, that does not sound right.
And I think that's what really separates them from some of those artists, where it's just, again, not trying to emulate those sounds, not just trying to be like Linkin Park because we like Linkin Park. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I see what Korn did. I see what fucking Marilyn Manson did, whatever. I think I can do it better. I'm going to go try.
Right. And what's fascinating is something like Linkin Park, I feel like, is the standard for all of the bands right now that aren't doing much to really differentiate themselves or experiment outside the bounds of what's been considered okay from the modern mid, like what modern radio has said they're willing to accept moving forward.
Well, and what I really appreciate about Kim Dracula is that it feels like they also value the full listening experience that is sitting down and listening to a full album, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't just
For better or
20
worse in some
singles.
instances.
Well, what I was saying is, you said earlier about like risk taking, for
Yeah.
example, like it feels like we really like look at 48 minutes, the length of this record, and be like, well, I definitely want to try this. Like, we're not scared to try anything. We're trying to fit as much into this as possible. And you said earlier, like, you know, that would, like, some artists would shy away from that, thinking it's cringe or whatever. But it's like, obviously Kim Dracula doesn't do that. I think that this record's all the better for it. And that's by no means calling every decision on here genius.
No, but it's 10 times more fascinating than most of the records I listen to.
And it makes
this
her-
reminds me of that
it
Bad
makes
Flower
her
record from
such
a couple years back, where it was like, I know that these songs aren't all great. Some of them are actually bad.
Yeah.
But it's that we're willing to swing so hard that makes it 10 times more interesting than a record where all the songs are good. As
Well, it
weird as that
makes
sounds.
It makes it just such an exciting experience. Like it's like the first time you watch a TV show and you don't know where like it goes and you don't know how it ends. Like you said, like someone could tell you that this album with 10 tracks on it, it's a clean 30 minutes, it's just 10 great songs, but I'm always going to be more attracted to like the sell for this album, which is, hey, it's 20 tracks, 3 of them are like 40 seconds long, it's really weird, there's 15 different genres on here happening per song.
Yeah, you know, we've said a lot about how the variety of this album feels like there's some good, there's some bad, but the real variety in this album, I think, is how like fluid and dynamic it is between like different genres and styles, and how it feels like at any moment it's at the whims of its creators, who it's eccentric creator, and it feels like we could pivot in any one direction, and it's impossible to predict where we're going from here, because it's one moment we're like scatting, and then the next it's like piano jazz, and then all of that culminates in like deathcore.
Or alternatively, suddenly we pivot and we're doing like this narration or skit type of thing, where suddenly Kim Dracula's been possessed by like Jim Carrey in 2000. Think like The Grinch, think Ace Ventura, and like we're doing like this just really animated like radio host delivery. You also have like within a song like cuts to commercial breaks. Like you have a song where it's a commercial break, but even in another song earlier in the track listing, it's like, don't forget to enjoy a tall glass of milk with your human companion or whatever. Like it's just so fucking
like it's
weird.
just
And
fucking
then it cuts right
bizarre.
back into this deathcore that you're talking about.
Right.
So overall, it's like the weirdest album that you've heard this year. And like I know when I say something like that this is a year that like Sleep Token dropped a new album. This is as weird as that one, if not fucking even weirder. So it makes for such
This is
a
significantly weirder than the Sleep Token
It's
album.
pretty-
I will say that.
It's pretty fucking weird.
I wouldn't say this is better than the Sleep Token album. I will say this is significantly weirder than the Sleep Token. But you're right. It's like ultimately, it's like when I was thinking of how to describe this record, it was just like all of these like general like feelings that I had towards it. It was like it just felt imaginative. It felt exciting. It felt unpredictable. And I think so much of that works because it's always anchored by like the talent of Kim Dracula, where we're always pulling a melody out of places that they shouldn't exist. And I think like that lets us get away with a lot more than other artists would. Like it's not just that this is weird and bizarre, but it's weird and bizarre done by an artist who is obviously very talented and could probably make an amazing record where they didn't do all of this goofy shit, but it wouldn't be nearly as entertaining or interesting as this one. And I really appreciate that that's the direction.
Even, you say entertaining, I'll say even endearing as well.
Yeah.
Like I listen to this album and like, I just appreciate Kim Dracula as like a visionary, like not just as like, they sing great, whatever, they scream and rap cool, but like, I just appreciate the artist.
Yeah,
So much risk
100%
taking on here.
Some of the songs that really stood out to me were probably "Drown," which I thought was like that's
Drown's
probably,
a
if we're
lot
talking
of
like just
fun.
straight ahead, like incredible. "Drown." I really enjoyed "Kitty" as well.
Could you scroll up a little bit with
Sure.
our monitor here? Because I think that so "Are You," it's not a song I particularly love, but the instrumental is so fucking neat, where it sounds like it's like a video game level in like Mario, where like you're
Yeah.
going through a haunted mansion and the ghosts are chasing you, but as soon as you look at them, they turn around and they start going the other way.
Like it was processed through a Super Nintendo or something.
Yeah, see, the opening track on here leans into like the vampire Dracula like organ, big sound, whatever, and then like it goes into like the screaming before My Confession, which is definitely a standout on here. Land of the Sun is really interesting. One of the biggest standouts for me is Industry Secrets.
Yeah, definitely. I think Industry Secrets lyrically is a really fun track.
Fucking nuts. Like I don't even want to get into some of those lyrics. Just go experience that song for yourself. You won't believe your ears at one point.
I think Kim Dracula really considers themselves to be an artist that maybe pushes buttons a little bit.
And boundaries
yeah,
in general.
yeah. But I never feel like they do it in a way where it creates a distaste in me for them as an artist.
No, I see what you mean. It's like it's not that Kim Dracula is being vile on purpose. or
Right.
anything
There's
like
a
that.
try-hard version of this where, in a very weird way, a lot of this feels natural, even though, like, I think a great example of, like, a mirror artist would be Landon Tours, who I think is capable of doing that with, like, their solo material and some of the Plot and You songs, where it's, like, sometimes it feels vile, but it's delivered or sold in a way that really buys me
Yes.
in, where I feel like other artists can really fumble this and feel very try hard and
And you come out the other
significantly more
side-
cringe in a way that isn't endearing.
Right, and you come out the other side feeling like dirtier, and it's like, this isn't that. This is like, it's gonna get dirty and gross, but you're not going to feel dirty and gross listening to it.
Yeah. And all that being said, like, I think I would stop before I said this was like a perfect record. I think that there is a version of this that might actually be a little better in Kim Dracula's future. This is such an interesting window into this artist and such an exciting and enjoyable listen. I don't know if it's like one of the best records I've heard all year. Like I'm gonna start walking myself back a little bit at that point.
So the crazy thing though is, keep in mind when you say that, even the albums that I think are the best ones that I've heard this year, I probably won't revisit as much as I might visit this one.
You're right. It's like I'm caught somewhere between like what it means to be like best and interesting. You know what I
Right.
mean? Right. So it's like in that sense, it's like, how high do I want to go with like a score rating? You know,
Like I won't throw like another band out there, but like, man, I could go listen to like 3 tracks in a row of like the best songs a band has ever written, or I could go listen to Rosé by Kim Dracula and just have like a weird fucking time with it. Or like, you can't forget like the first time you hear some of the breakdowns on this record. I think Divine Retribution this is a good example of that. Like, Undercover has been fucking stuck in my head. I don't know, maybe it is because this is such a lengthy record. I know a couple of these are like skits, so it's not the full 20 that it looks like it is on paper, but like there are so many moments on here that I'm sitting here waiting to relive. Like, done recording, whatever, first chance to throw on an album, it's definitely going to be this one, just so I can try to continue to put the pieces together as to what the fuck this is.
I think you've talked me into a 5. I think you've honestly talked me into a 5. Like if we're just talking about like, what did I like personally like have an amazing time with? I guess it's this. What is something that I would recommend somebody go check out if I'm trying to like push the alternative scene? Go check out Kim Dracula.
Yeah.
Like it's all there. And I will say this as one final thought. This is so much to me everything Avenged Sevenfold said they were doing with their new album, but like somebody actually did it. This is the compelling version of what Avenged Sevenfold wrote down on paper.
This is what they thought they cooked.
Yeah, precisely.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, like Kim Dracula did every idea that Avenged Sevenfold tried on that new album, Kim Dracula did seemingly effortlessly.
This is 5 stars for being one of the coolest things I've heard all year.
Yeah, and it's like, it's 5 stars while acknowledging that it's not perfect.
Yes, precisely, but it's almost like better for that reason is what's so crazy about this record. It's like it shines because of its imperfections.
Yeah.
In a really fascinating way. I wish we had more records like this.
Absolutely.
We listened to one last thing this week, Marcos.
Join the club by As December Falls.
I like to walk in the middle of the night to clear my mind. I like the rush of the cars going by when I'm under the fading light.
This is the Nottingham Outfit's 3rd studio album, arriving the 21st of July via self-release. Join the Club consists of 10 tracks, clocks in north of 30 minutes, and is the follow-up to 2021's Happier LP, which means we got 2 Happiers in 2021.
Was that Volumes year
That
for
was
Happier as well?
Volumes, too.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Well, that one was a Happier question mark. This one's a Happier period.
right, legitimate, you know?
Yeah.
But do you read the question mark? You know that like read between the lines kind of thing? Like, do you read a question mark there where there isn't one?
Maybe.
You know?
True. We didn't
Kind of
hear
like,
that one.
I'm okay, I promise. Are you, Gerard?
Are you?
You see? This is how long I've had trust issues, by the way.
So we didn't-
Since fucking 3 Cheers dropped.
I don't think we heard Happier.
No, I don't think we heard Happier either. I feel like I was familiar with this band, but I don't know that I'd heard a full album by them up until this one.
I think as December Falls, for a while, it was like a release radar band where they would come on and I'd be like, yeah, sick. But I wouldn't actually go seek out and see if like, oh shit, an album's dropping next month or it came out, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Soft pitch for this band, think Warped Tour style pop punk, the big energy, big guitars, big vocals, big nostalgia, big sing-alongs, all that good stuff. Real like 12:30 main stage, come have a good time type deal.
But it's crazy how accurate you are when you say that, because that's like
it's the nostalgia bit,
the
right?
opening fucking 30 seconds of this album, and I'm like, I close my eyes and it feels like I'm.
You can feel the sun on your back. You can feel the sunburn starting to form, right?
I can.
You can feel someone
like
spill a Monster on your Vans. Yeah,
I can feel like the 3 p.m. sitting in the auditorium, drinking some $14 Gatorade. I can feel the sunburn, on my forehead. And then this band takes the stage, and it's like, hey, I didn't notice them on the schedule for the day, the lineup.
You should have seen their posters all over the place with their set time written on it, right?
And you're sitting there like, this is neat.
Yeah, this hits. This hits.
This is perfect.
That's
for this
almost
moment.
like, I think we just summed up this whole lot. We can call it right here, Marcus. Join the club by as December
Too
falls.
easy.
It hits. Okay, so like, all right, so ultimately, like, I thought this album was like a real fun, like, romp, right? With fucking fun hooks and fun guitar solos and like
good energy, just a good light energy for
it's
the most
fun.
part. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Initially, I felt like the production on the vocals buried them a little bit too much in like effects, but that style weirdly grew on me as the record went on. Like initially, it felt like it drowned the vocals out a little bit, but like the more times I listened to it, the more that like specific aspect sort of like was a draw and less of a push away, if that sounds.
I don't know if this is the exact example of this, but like I still have a bit of a problem with like the production and the mix on this record, where
it's within the vocals that I notice it the most. But for me, it became endearing.
For me, it's a little bit of everything. Where I think that generally, if I had one big critique of this album, it's that it just doesn't feel like individual moments pop the way that they should.
Okay.
Like it feels like a lot of bands do a good job of like really upping like the volume when the chorus hits.
Right, when to drop down the instrumentals and pull the vocals forward a little bit. I feel
and this album, I think, does a poor job of that. And I don't think it detracts too much from the listening experience overall. But once I noticed it, I'm like, man, this album is like just one general tone from beginning to end.
I think you're right. And I wonder if part of that is that band wanting to maybe maintain a little bit more of their punk energy and a little bit less of the pop. You know what I mean? So that like,
and it does feel intentional, because if you look at like the super team of people they put on, like the production team on this goes insane. It's just a lot of very recognizable artists that all of these names have worked with.
Right.
So I trust that, like,
I feel like I saw 5 seconds of summer on there or something.
Yeah. So like I sit there and I'm like, well, that person knows what they're doing.
Right. So it's like this
Obviously.
feels more like a choice and not like an oversight.
And again, that's why for me it's a critique, because it's a choice I ultimately don't really love.
Sure.
But it doesn't take away from the enjoyment of this record too much. Again, it's a very light and overall like pleasant experience. I think that overall, like the band just sounds solid. I think that the vocals are really tight, instrumentally very tight, chorus wise, like solid. It's just all good.
Yeah, it's catering to its base very well. It is sunny Warped Tour style pop punk, and it is not ashamed of doing that for the majority of this record. Some of the standout moments for me are probably there was this really cool moment in Honey, where it like closes out with these like overlapping vocals, which I thought was like a neat effect. I thought Home was like a nice acoustic pivot that kind of helped break up a little bit of that kind of repetition that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I will say that lyrically, while I enjoy the overall sentiment, not many lines really stood out to me.
Yeah, might be where they have like the most opportunity as far as like if you can grow that, I think you can really find like that's your next level. Grow that.
It'll help you gain a lot more personality, whereas this feels a little bit more like a pop punk as a style and less of like as December Falls as a unique like entity.
Need like a little bit more identity, and that's interesting too. Cause so this is the third studio album, so I'm curious when and how we'll find it. But again, this is promising overall. This is a good record.
This is promising. This probably settles at like a 3 out of 5 for me, where I really enjoyed it. I think it's above average, but there's opportunities for growth in the next record.
3 out of 5 feels right.
Okay, perfect.
The news.
Marcus, we got a whole bunch of news to catch up on. It's been, like I said, 2 weeks since we recorded, so let's jump right into it. Lil Uzi Vert has brought metal to the masses.
And this darkness has become a haven.
Their new album, Pink Tape, includes features from Baby Metal on the track The End and Bring Me the Horizon on Werewolf. Lil Uzi Vert, of course, was recently featured on the brand new Bring Me the Horizon song, Amen. Since this has dropped, Werewolf has gone on to become a #1 charting song in the Hot Hard Rock Billboard 100.
I think it's the first #1 off of this record too.
Is that true? I'm curious.
I don't know, 'cause
Has there been a lot of discussion about Lil Uzi Vert outside of the metal collaborations, like outside of our sphere?
So I know that like Drown the Face and Just Wanna Rock is like those two songs have been hits sort of like straight away.
And those were pre-release singles.
Yeah, maybe not that opener, maybe not Drown the Face, but,
Okay, but
Just
the
Wanna
other one.
Rock is like one of the biggest songs this year so far.
Okay. So he's fair to say that this was already an unmitigated success before the album even dropped. Yeah.
But I think that's one of the more fascinating aspects of this is like, to me, these are the two niche features where it feels like you and I are going to enjoy them the most, but like,
Right. I mean, this is where all the discussion about Lil Uzi Vert is coming in within our like corner of music.
Well, yes and no. Like, what's really fascinating is like watching things sort of happen in real time is so fun nowadays, because suddenly, like, a day after this comes out, people are throwing this song over like Sonic the Hedgehog gameplay on TikTok. And they're like, yeah, this is how the Werewolf song makes me feel. Like, I feel like Shadow the Hedgehog right now listening to this.
Okay.
And it's like, you open up the comments and you're like, man, Uzi's fine, but this fucking Bring Me band really fucking ate that chorus. And it's like, it's obviously extending past this scene.
That is so fascinating.
You pull up like the r/hip hop threads, and like the third comment in is like, holy shit, Bring Me the Horizon. And it's like, okay.
That's so fucking fascinating because, like, in one sense, we shouldn't be surprised. Like, Lil Uzi Vert moving into a genre where the artist he's bringing in has essentially mastered it.
Yeah.
It's not at all surprising that people walk away going like, okay, well, like, this is the standout moment, right? And also, that's why Lil Uzi brings them in to begin with, right? It's because, like, I know Bring Me or Baby Metal are going to kill this. It's what they're good at, right?
Yeah. Well,
I'm finding my footing within this world.
Especially like that Baby Metal song where like Lil Uzi Vert, they're on it, but to me it's so inherently just
Like Lil Uzi becomes
a
the feature
Baby
on his
Metal
own song.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that like the Werewolf one is a little more even, but even then, like, I don't know, it's really cool to see how much appreciation people are having for those two songs specifically. And Werewolf charting at #1 in the hard rock songs chart is equally as fun because you know that there are a bunch of old heads out there where that legitimately pisses them off.
I feel like we had a whole week of discourse about rock and metal not being as popular as they are, only to end it with like this hitting number one. Drown went gold this week.
Took a minute. Just pretend
it took
went
a
gold
minute.
this
Well,
week.
yeah, that was the news for later. I was trying not to say. I was
My
gonna
bad,
say
my bad,
later
my
in the
bad.
news because some other stuff that went gold. And it's like the little ways that like rock and metal has like really
Actually,
poked its head out and like excelled beyond like all imagination.
It's been really fun with Bring Me lately because this year it's felt like every month suddenly they've had an older song go like not diamond but like platinum or whatever and then gold. Because it was another one recently too where I think like Throne might have or something like that.
So like I feel like what you're trying to tell me is like the TikTok effect is what you're saying. So
Yes.
like and that explains Just Pretend by Bad Omens going gold. So do you we also didn't mention, by the way, that Bring Me was featured in like a Corpse song as well. That
Yes.
dropped within the last couple of
Code
weeks.
something or another. Code Switch.
Code Switch sounds accurate.
Yeah.
But I think what's most interesting for me is kind of like the Lil Uzi Vert thing, and then how that sort of extends out to, you know, Demi Lovato talking about this week. Hey, who do I want to work with? Corey Taylor, Knocked Loose. Like these are the artists that I want to fuck with, and it's like, yo, holy shit! Like a couple more of these, and we're really gonna start to transcend, right?
Not to get too far off topic and not to be too much of a hater, but I can't tell you how long I would have to go down the list before I'm like, yeah, I'd probably want to work with Corey Taylor.
Okay,
Like, that's probably in the hundreds.
Because I mean, it's in the same sense that it's like when Post Malone puts out a song and needs like a famous metal singer, it's Ozzy. Because I feel like it's just like big name recognition at that point. It's the same reason why. So Demi Lovato is like putting out like rock versions of like older songs. I think it's called like Revamped, and not all of the track listing I don't think is available, but a couple of them are, and one of them features Slash, which is like, who in the year 2023 gives a fuck about a Slash feature?
Robert Ortiz.
Sure.
Skip the Fate.
I'd be more excited if it was an Escape the Fate feature or Robert
Yeah.
Ortiz, right? It's like Slash. It's like, I don't fucking care. The same way I don't fucking care about Ozzy on a song. But like, I understand why you do it because the name recognition is so fucking vast
I know,
that
I
you
know.
hope to like just literally capture the biggest breadth of an audience imaginable, right? So you say Corey Taylor, but you mean Knocked Loose. Marcus, also in the news this week, Bring Me the Horizon announced Next Fest, which is going to be taking place in Tokyo with support from Baby Metal, Youngblood, I Prevail, Cult, Pale Dusk, and Hanabi, amongst others. Also on that lineup are a project called Yosobi, who, per their Spotify description, create music from novels. Yosobi also ranked #1 on Spotify's most streamed Japanese artist in the overseas market in the year 2021. They sit at 10 million monthly listeners. I was looking at this Next Fest, and I'm like, Bring Me the Horizon go to Tokyo and headlining over artists like Baby Metal and Yosobi. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Or is that a kindness?
Headlining over, like, specifically stated as, like, the biggest Japanese metal artists.
Right. So, like, does Baby Metal do a UK fest and they put Bring Me the Horizon directly below them? Right? Like, because that
So-
feels like the, like, alternative.
My understanding with someone like Baby Metal is that, like, whatever stadiums they got over in Japan, like, Baby Metal are doing those easily.
I feel like they just put out fucking music videos of them playing, like, the fucking the Madison Square Garden in Tokyo, whatever the fuck that Tokyo Square Garden, right? Whatever the fuck that is, they were playing it and they filled it the fuck up. Crazy Bring Me the Horizon heavy last couple of weeks. All of this after a couple of weeks where it was also Bring Me the Horizon heavy. It feels like this band has come back very loud. Like it feels like we were talking forever about how like they're gonna announce the album, they're gonna fucking do anything. What's going on with Bring Me? And like suddenly they're opening for Fall Out Boy on this fucking stadium tour. They got all this Next Fest stuff for their new EP Next Gen. Like it's all finally fucking happening. Like we got there.
You're not wrong, because, like, for a while it was like, man, when did Strangers come out? Like, we were, like, losing track when tracks came out. Just
right?
finally some activity, and Bring Me the Horizon doing it in the only way they know how, which is in like the biggest style imaginable. Like,
Yeah, truly. Like in the last, like last year felt like the year of like Ollie Sykes, and now it's like back to Bring Me the Horizon, right? Taylor Swift, Marcos, released Speak Now Taylor's version, which contained formerly vaulted tracks Electric Touch, featuring Fall Out Boy,
Is this good either break my heart or bring it back to life?
and Castles Crumbling, featuring Hayley Williams of Paramore.
Once I was the great hope for a dynasty.
And then side news story, Taylor Swift also announced that Paramore would be support for the UK EU leg of the Eras tour.
and
So,
not just like the U.S. tour where it was a handful of dates.
yeah, it was like a
It's all of them.
string or like a smattering. Yeah,
Yes,
so
this
the
is all of
UK
them.
is like we're only doing the best support over the UK EU. No fuck around.
Did you see that it was? I think like the national treasury for the United States was like,
I did
we're
see this.
pretty sure we can track like the growth of hotel revenue specifically just to the Eras tour.
Not only that, like
For
they're-
this year.
they're saying the Eras tour is generating like economic boom for each state it hits, like each city it hits, right? Just because like I think that it's not only that like everyone's going to these shows, like they're selling out, but it's like people are traveling too.
Making a weekend out of it.
Right. So there's just like a surplus of people. And I think obviously they're all in areas where like if everyone's staying in hotels, they're also eating in restaurants and stuff like that. And then a Taylor Swift hoodie alone costs upwards of like $100. So like whatever taxes are going back to the state for that. So I listened to Speak Now Taylor's version the day it dropped, start
of
to
it?
finish. Yeah. I didn't love it. It did remind me that it's a good album, but I think I prefer the original because it just like it just feels more like genuine. Like it's
Big
like
Music's version.
yeah, but it's like it's Big Music owns it, but it's still Taylor Swift, and it was like Taylor Swift in the moment. You know what I mean?
How much like creative liberties do we take? Like, are these renditions? Or
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It's probably been years since I listened to Speak Now. So I don't know if I genuinely pulled a lot, like any dramatic differences, but there's nothing like a 10-minute version of All Too Well on there that would be like comparable to that, you know? But the big sell for me personally was, okay, let's hear a Taylor Swift song with Fall Out Boy, and let's hear one with Hayley Williams.
Of course. Yeah.
Let's start with Fall Out Boy. Not great, if I'm being honest with you.
I haven't heard either of these.
Okay, well, that's unfortunate.
I was excited initially, and then it came out, and I didn't see any like actual talk about either of them, and I was like, I'll get to it one day.
Fall Out Boy feels really out of place on Electric Touch. Like the song just feels like it's trying to mash two things together that aren't quite working.
So
and Patrick Stump feels like he's doing something to please someone and pleasing no one in the process.
and these were like two vaulted songs at the very least. Like no one's heard these before.
That's right.
How much of the songs Fall Out Boy on?
Fall Out Boy is on a significant portion of
generous
the
amount?
song. Yeah.
Okay.
These aren't novelty features. They feel, both of them, well integrated. I thought Castles Crumbling was significantly better.
What's that scale though? Like if the
What do you mean,
Fall Out
what's
Boy
that
song
scale?
is like a 2 or 3 out of 10, what's a significant?
Then Castles Crumbling is probably like a 6 or 7,
Okay.
right? Like it's twice
Not
as
like-
good
not
as
like-
the Fall Out
right,
Boy
but
song.
like not like the best song you've heard.
It's
this
not
year.
one of the better songs on Speak Now. No, and no part of me goes, well, they should have cut this for that, right? There are some other like B-sides on this as well, like strictly Taylor Swift songs that also aren't quite great. So you can see a lot of why these songs didn't make the track list. These two in particular feel crazy to cut because of like the strength of having those named features on there, but they're not incredible songs, so it's understandable.
Interesting,
Mm-hmm.
man.
Marcos, Take It Back Sunday came back with a brand new single titled The One. It's their first new track since the global pandemic.
Go big or go home. If I
and it's their first release through Fantasy Records, which is an LA indie label they signed to earlier this year, and also home to supergroup LS Dunes. The band is currently headlining Sad Summer Fest, which kicks off July 6th, which I guess we're past the point when I wrote this to discuss it on the show. So it's happening now. LS Dunes is also on that.
The global pandemic, Sam.
The global pandemic.
That you talking COVID or you talking that last album?
Bam!
Take Back Sunday or fucking back?
Goddamn, and thank fuck, because like you said it, and from your mouth to God's ears, that was one of the worst albums I've ever heard in my whole life. So thank fuck that they like cleaned it up and got their shit back together.
The Tide, The Wave, The Riptide, some shit. That album sucked, man.
The Mid.
Yeah, but honestly, and that was that was really like a decline. Like every album was getting worse.
It felt like that band fell off a cliff, though. You're right. It's like we were declining, and then like the stock price dropped to zero. Just absolutely, like in a sense that it's like I went into this song being like, taper expectations. All right, like Taking Back Sunday's back. It's been a few years, finally, but like I remember where we left off. I'm not gonna kid myself. I'm gonna get properly like level-headed about this. And then I went in and listened to it. And I was like, I don't know. This is like I don't know if it's me missing them or what, but this was really good.
More genuine or something. I'm not really sure.
I think that it's a little more the style of Taking Back Sunday that works best for them, in my opinion, and less of this whatever fucking indie rock fucking folk bluesy bullshit they were doing.
What's funny is that energy wasn't completely it wasn't gone completely, but it manifested in a different form.
Yeah, for sure, but like if I'm being real, they trade vocals on this a little bit.
Yeah.
God damn, what a difference that makes in a Taking Back Sunday song to do the thing that we know Taking Back Sunday does.
What I was more alluding to is like that energy with like the indie shit is still there, but now it's like they're acting for this music video.
The music video for this is very funny. All right, it's
such
like
a weird
the
video.
dads get together at like an Airbnb out in the middle of nowhere, and like they're all getting dressed for like what looks like a wedding performance or something. In theory, it could have been For Sad Summer because they like literally took off and started playing that tour like
Into the
immediately after this came
sunset,
out. Yeah. But it's like, and then like at one point, it's like they all like get into the living room and they're like,
patting each other up.
You're
like,
looking cute in that tie, aren't you,
suit.
boy?
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's do this. When we get in the fucking van and roll out, boys together forever. And it's like, all right, this energy is goofy as fuck, but
It's very dorky.
mildly endearing in a way that's like, the song's good enough, I'll buy anything.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you want to kind of cringe and look away, but like thinking back on it, I'm like, that's a fun little video.
They feel of their age in a way that doesn't turn me off of them, you know? Like, in a way that it's, like, brutal when you watch some pop punk bands. It was like, fucking get a real job, like, you fucking 47-year-old. But with Taking Back Sunday, it's like, nah, all right, you're still cool.
Rock stars.
You're still cool. Marcos, Bad Omens are releasing 2 new albums, maybe, kind of.
3?
So, in a recent interview with Joel Madden on All Press's Artist Friendly podcast, vocalist Noah Sebastian said, the first album is a deluxe tentatively titled Concrete Forever, which is going to feature like remixes, strip tracks, some new songs with possible collaborations. And secondly, we have a new album. And there was also talk about wanting to do a song with Era, which makes more sense because this band has only toured with Era, I feel like, for the last 2 years. So
And before that, you're forgetting some of those tours.
right?
from-
And
when Bad Omens
they've
first
only ever
started.
toured with Era, period. So that like that for me adds up a lot. It's like, okay, well, it's like the thank fuck, because otherwise it's just like the stars, like everything aligns now. This makes
Yes.
sense. And then as you mentioned earlier, Just Pretend went gold this week. The band's first single to do so. Gotta think the Death of Peace of Mind can't be
Big
like
congrats.
insanely far behind it.
Man, It's insane that this week that goes gold, the same week that Drowned by Bring Me the Horizon goes gold.
I know.
For me, like one of the most legendary tracks of all time, and it still took it 7, 8, 9 years to do it.
Is Just Pretend the modern day Drown?
No, it isn't. It's not, because I think the Death of Peace of Mind is a modern day Drown.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Like the song itself. Just Pretend is definitely a standout, and this was before it got any traction, like any virality. Like I remember listening to that song and being like, "Wow, this is really good." I hope people like.
You said it
latch on to
first,
this.
yeah.
I know. I said it first.
You were there before anyone.
But I don't think it's the best song on that album. Whereas with Drown, I'm like, huh, that's the spirit. Yeah, it's Drown.
Okay, fair.
Bring Me the Horizon's discography. Drown. I don't know if I still feel that way. Maybe it's time to revisit, but I think Drown is still one of the most important tracks in scene history. I don't think Just Pretend is there.
I don't know. I feel like if we're talking modern day hits, this feels like a monumental song in the scene. Like this is a
key song in scene history as far as like tides turning, shit going like dummy mode as far as like what our bands are capable of suddenly. But I don't think it's as iconic, which is crazy because it feels like this will age poorly in the sense that like
I don't know. It took Drown like 10 years to go gold.
Song,
this
right,
song did it
yeah.
in less than a year, so I don't know, bro.
So this new story has a lot to chew on.
Yeah.
I remember, not to self-plug, when we had Noah on this show and we interviewed Noah back in like summer of 21.
Yeah, but that was an unfriendly interview, which is completely different than the artist friendly.
No, summer of 22, because the album dropped last year.
Precisely.
Noah talked a lot about like some of the collaborations he had in mind for this record, and we were talking like getting some like Swedish
Corey
singers, like
Knox Liz.
I could see either of those happening, yes.
Ollie
but
Sykes.
like there was definitely some like left field types of artists that I know Bad Omens has wanted to work with, and I'm really hoping they were able to make that happen, because when they were initially sold to us, it's like, yeah, that sounds like it could turn that song into something truly special.
We're gonna get one of them,
Truly
right? Like
interesting,
there's no way we get reimagined strips, remixes, and new songs, and we don't get one of these dream collaborations.
Well, we're getting
right?
limits too.
I mean, you
Unlimited.
don't forget, this band doesn't fuck around when they add a couple songs to a new album. All
Also,
right?
I really like that Concrete Forever just feels to be like this band's motto suddenly, and it's like perfect fit as far as a deluxe name goes. Like, yeah,
They've done a very good job of like tying in all of this release and like everything they've done forward within this universe they've created. I don't think we
it's
ever
the name of
discussed
the
it, but there's
comic.
there's
Yeah.
like comics that they're releasing as well.
Yep.
Wargasm have released Do It So Good. Which is off of their debut album Venom, which comes out October 27th. It's the follow-up to last year's Explicit the Mixtape. Wargasm had this to say describing the upcoming album. It's heavy, melodic, disgusting, honest, sexy. Everything this band has experimented with since our inception has been pinned down on the anvil and hammered into shape, thrown at the wall, beaten into a more fucked up shape, and gone back onto the anvil.
That's a really great
Strong
sell.
sell.
That's a strong sell for an album.
Strong sell.
I'm sitting here like I was hyped to talk about this new song,
Sure.
hyped to talk about this debut album. Hearing that sell, even more hyped now.
Exponential hype.
Debut album, long time coming for Wargasm.
It feels that way, huh? Like, it feels like I've been listening to this band forever, and I know they're like total rookies, but it's probably because I've wanted this for a while now.
For sure.
And then speaking of Corey Taylor, this band is actually going to be supporting him later this year on his headlining tour.
The CMFT Worldwide Tour?
Yes, but I think there's maybe a 2 in there somewhere. CMFT and again, or whatever the fuck that album's called. You know what I mean? Handpicked Wargasm, by the way, to be opening support on this tour.
Let's go.
Yeah, right? Because I think it's because he saw this new fucking video, which is so incredibly good. It's astounding.
This one's a fun watch. It's just such an energetic video. It's, in general, very lively, and it's a breeze. It flies by.
It focuses on the vocalists of this fucking band, who are incredibly watchable individuals that just bring such high intensity and energy, right?
Yeah, talk about selling. This band just sells how fucking cool they are by just standing in front of the camera the whole video. Like, anything happening in this video, it doesn't not feature both vocalists going fucking ham at some point.
Right, and even when they're not going ham and they're just acting
foreground.
silly, they're still completely watchable, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of the stuff that's happening in the background sort of helps
production,
accentuate
great
both of them.
lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The video for me was so incredible that it was like almost slightly distracting, but not so much so that this wasn't also an amazing song to listen to.
Venom. Like, it's gonna be awesome, right?
If this is the lead up, like so far we're looking good.
This is a good start.
Yeah, like this is like some Enter Shikari ass, like sort of like club metal jam that like just really gets me hyped to listen to.
Really trading the vocals in a fun way. Just, man, it's just a fucking breakneck song.
Yeah, astounding. Escape the Fate released their brand new track and music video for Cheers to Goodbye.
Empty bottles of wine, you are not mine. Missing the stars, I saw in your eyes.
The newest single off of the upcoming album dropping on September 1st, which I think is still technically is unnamed. The track features Spencer Sharness of Ice Nine Kills, and the band is heading out on the Out of the Shadows headlining tour, which I imagine is either a name of a song on the album or is going to end up being the name of the album. With support from Drugs, Point North, Stitch Up Heart, and Garzi. Strong lineup.
I have
Strong ass lineup.
One question for you.
Yeah.
Yes, great lineup. One question for you.
Hit me.
Are we back?
Oh, we're so fucking back. Like, we are so back. Like,
Escape
we
the
are
Fate.
back.
So far, 3 for 3 on singles heading into an album, which I don't think has happened since the debut album.
It's been like I can't even remember. Like I can't even remember the last time this happened. It's absolutely fucking amazing what this band is accomplishing right now. Like in this point of their career to be putting out material this strong.
Yes.
Like, and I'm not even fucking around. Like Cheers to Goodbye and the last track, I think it was called Low, are like maybe 2 of my favorite Escape the Fate songs ever. They're that
in
good.
general, right?
Like, where the fuck did this band get off?
Just haven't been able to get like those choruses out of my head. I think back to Low and those fucking stupid guitar parts in so long. And Escape the Fate's like one of my favorite guitar bands in like throughout the course of their career. And it like finally having good guitar parts back.
Like, they found
or
it.
memorable parts.
Like they found whatever Escape the Fate was. It's like they fucking
Whatever
found
they
it again.
lost, they found.
Now, unfortunately, one of the worst music videos I've ever seen in my whole life. Just unbearably bad. Just like the like Intern's Day using After Effects, slapping this together.
Their head was in the right place, but the execution was bad. This is you pointed out while we were watching the video itself. It would have benefited so much more from just practical effects, like an actual stage.
Pales in comparison to the video
design.
that came before it, which is, I think, a lot of those things.
Yeah, and this is all CG. It's all VFX.
And it's like the not good CG where there's
Yeah.
just like little flame particle effects everywhere all the time for no reason.
Costume design is like a little rough too. Like it should have looked like a little more weathered and a little more surfacey.
Right. Like if
and,
this didn't look so like artificially generated, I think you could have sold it a lot better, right?
so if you listen to the song, like sonically, a lot of like circusy vibes. Visually, in this has like the tent in the background, but like practically, like putting all that stuff in the actual video and just turning it up a little bit would have been so much better than what we had. But it doesn't detract from how good the song is.
Yeah, it's like that being said, the video is not a must see, but the song is a must hear.
The Spencer feature on here, it's great right off the bat. Just want to mention that. But one of the coolest aspects of it is how it's integrated into the video for like all of 10 seconds or shorter, like 3 seconds, where you know how in 2020 every single guest feature was just on a old television.
Right,
You
and old
just
like CRTV.
threw it on
yeah.
there. Here we put the video that like Spencer mailed into this band in like the reflection of Craig's sunglasses at some point.
Like, do you make it sound like he recorded on VHS and like sent it out UPS?
It was on a phone on a tripod.
Sure. Yes.
After returns videotapes. But like just the way that it was integrated a little bit was neat. Granted, the next scene immediately after that is like that whole shot covering the entire frame, but Craig like small in the corner singing up at Spencer, and that looked awful.
There's an
And you
incredible
also have, like,
5
the
seconds in this
flames.
video. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Hot Milk released Bloodstream off the upcoming new album A Call to the Void, out August 28th. Hot Milk on the new song. Unhealthy adoration comes in many forms. The short-term thrill for the post-high collapse can create an abusive relationship. You think it's love, you think you're in control, you think you can say no if you need it, but you're not the one in the driver's seat anymore. You're enamored and enthralled, but hopelessly self-aware in all of it. Self-loathing of your own. Bloodstream, a person. A thing, a substance. We all have our weaknesses. It's all addiction. People can be like drugs, and drugs can be like people. The band will be playing a run of headline shows this November in the UK with support from Witch Fever and Modern Era.
Modern era.
Modern Era.
Modern era. Ah, man.
Hot milk.
Bring that bill over to the US. I'm trying to see me some hot milk. Man, this album's getting close. Similar to Wargasm, we've been waiting on this one.
Yeah, and
Forever, it
funny
feels
enough,
like.
it feels like these bands almost like came up around the same time. Like in my mind, they
Or at
both
least
started
that's when
like
they
within the
registered for
general
us,
vicinity of one another. Now, I think this track is fun. I don't think it's as strong as their last single. You share that sentiment?
100%. Last single might be like my favorite Hot Milk song, period. I'm pissed that I can't remember the name of it, the title, but I remember it came up on like my release radar and I just listened to it like 20 times straight. Just loved it. This song, I don't think I'm going to experience that same love for in general.
It's got the right energy, the right tone, the right feeling, but it's
This
not
is-
like a knock it out of the park single.
Yeah, to me, this screams it'll sound really good in context to the record on its own as a single.
I'm a little more sold on it after reading the description, funny enough.
Yeah, it's a good description. It's like like I understand what the song is a little bit better now. But in general, the overall like tone, the vibe of it, it's not what I'm looking for out of a single from this band. I know
And the
it's gonna
video
hit-
didn't really help sell it either.
Yeah, and I know
it
it's
felt a
gonna
little
hit on
flat.
the album, but
Yeah. So still excited about Hot Milk. Still interested in hearing this album. Like still significantly interested in hearing this album. But I don't think this was the run. Hey, listen, everybody can't be Escape the Fate putting out like 3 hit singles in a row. All right. Not everybody can be Escape the Fate. UnityTX released Rock Shit off the upcoming new album Ferality, which drops on September 8th through Pure Noise Records.
Hey, rock shit. I'm about to go sweep it up in this bitch. These niggas don't know what's about to hit. I'm pissing them off for flipping the script. Why ain't you keep popping up doing my shit? They say I'm a threat because I don't miss. I do what I do. It is what it is. You don't wanna rock it off of my dick because I ain't gon' stop for nobody here.
Which also includes the 2022 single Burnout. The band's going to be supporting Nothing Nowhere this fall alongside See You Space Cowboy and Static Dress, which is a fucking chef's kiss, magnificent, absolutely incredible bill.
it's a perfect bill.
It got a little better when I heard Rock Shit, to be honest with you, which I think is arguably UnityTX's best song to date. I've been saying this forever. Trap metal is so insanely untapped within this scene, and it kills me that it's been like Dropout Kings trying to carry it for 4 straight years. Like finally somebody else fucking got in on it, right? It's like every
Granted,
once in a while we get like a little fucking Kamiyata Plus would be like on
Yeah.
that shit, and it'd be like, all right, yeah, okay, finally. But like that's it. Like you get a taste of it, and then it'd fucking fall off the face of the earth for another 6 months.
And UnityTX do it super fucking well. Rock Shit is an amazing track. The song has amazing energy. The video has amazing energy. The album artwork for Ferality has amazing
It goes
energy as
crazy,
well.
yeah.
Like, it's a fucking werewolf. It just looks super sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, 100% trap metal has been untapped, but it's bands like UnityTX that are really proving that genre is worth its weight in like salt, right?
I thought Burnout was good, but for me, like Rock Shit completely fucking wipes it from my memory. Like it's that good that for me, like that is the go ahead single for this upcoming album.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm looking for out of this band. As far as like I'm thinking forward to that tour and seeing this band up on that stage. Like right now, I want to hear them play this song 5 times in a row.
Yeah, this feels like it could end up being a defining song.
House down.
Defining song for them. Marcus, just a couple quick tidbits before we get out of here. Motionless in White announced the deluxe edition of Scoring the End of the World out September 8th with 2 new songs and 2 remixes. Asking Alexandria are releasing their newest album, Where Do We Go From Here, alongside The Word Alive and their new album, Hard Reset, both on August 25th. Now, that's the news, and that's pretty much been an episode, but obviously I'd be remiss not to mention some of the sadder things that have happened over the course of us having last recorded. As many people are familiar, Ryan, the guitarist for Polaris, recently tragically passed away. The band released a statement, obviously heartbroken, as we all are, honestly. And that was a couple weeks ago. They've since released another statement, and while still obviously heartbroken, they did say that they were going to be continuing forward with their upcoming commitments. I don't know if a lot of people remember, but they had like canceled or delayed like a European tour like a little while back. So obviously our hearts go out to Polaris and the entire metalcore scene felt the same way, and it's tragic and sad, and it sucks that, you know, we can, like I say, continue to experience these things like clockwork every few months, you know.
Yeah. Bittersweet to see all of the pouring of love for Ryan come out after this, and seeing like videos of how talented this individual was. And
it was almost like you felt like you didn't appreciate him enough, like immediately when all these videos started coming out. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Artists that I admired talking about their admiration for Ryan, sharing videos, things like that.
Yeah, like I didn't realize what a generational talent he was until I started seeing like.
And of course, young, and this entire story is terrible. It's awful.
Yeah. And then compound on top of that, Year of the Knife was in a very terrible van accident, and lucky for all the members of that band, they survived it, but not without their vocalist Maddie being left in critical condition. And since this accident happened, there's been also, you know, an outpouring of love for this band, and a lot of donations towards their GoFundMe, towards their medical bills and stuff like that. You know, the band has been adamant that, you know, while Maddie is stable, they are far from being out of the woods on this, and they have to look forward to a significant amount of like surgeries and a long hospital stay.
Yeah, I mean, this story broke. The crash happened over a week from the moment that we are recording this episode right now, and Maddie is only just now supposedly leaving the ICU.
Yeah.
Was in a coma, is my understanding, for a good duration of, you know, time between now and that crash.
Yeah, I believe they're still like nonverbal.
Yeah, but again, great to see the community come out, outpouring of love, respect for this band. Terror knocked loose, and I believe a couple of other people who
Jesus Peace,
who toured with Year of the Knife a handful of years ago, like re-released a tour design or something.
Yeah, like a commemorative T-shirt that you could go, and obviously the money from that would be donated to Year of the Knife. Yeah. So like you said, yeah, it's great to see the community sort of come out on this one. Hey, that's been an episode for you guys. We look forward to seeing you next week. Sorry for being gone for a couple of weeks, but
brief pause.
I feel refreshed, and I'm glad to be here to talk about music. Love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Good fucking bleh.